And welcome back to Fandom Fridays, where we proceed to check out all the fanfics that are not pony related. Why? Because it's Christmas. That's why. Yes, it's that magical time of year again. I've got the tree set up. I'm in my double comfortable blankets. And I currently live in a state where the biggest snowfall will happen around January, February, or March. Which means the chances of having a white Christmas are slim to none. And I just made my mother cry. It's the truth, Mom. Deal with it. So, anyway. And the best part about the new studio and the new workplace is I have an actual chimney instead of a bricked walled over one. So Santa Claus no longer has to take a motherfucking sledgehammer to get in. Which means I should be expecting ho 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 Santa right about now.
Merry Christmas, Marcel Fruit user. I hope you're having a bright and happy holidays.
You know what? All things considered, yeah, I kinda am. And I'm really, really enjoying my day.
That's good, because I brought you something special. More lovely little Christmas fanfics just for you.
Sweet! I knew this was a racket.
And for you, Trixie.
No, Santa. Trixie doesn't want wings this year.
You don't?
No. After starring in Fall Starfleet in so many of his fics, Trixie has come to realize something. She does not need wings to prove herself powerful, nor does she need the powers of an alicorn to prove herself to be a goddess. No, she has the most important things in the world. Her friends, family, and ones who care about her. Trixie's magic is powerful enough without the use of wings, without becoming an alicorn. Trixie is a special pony. She's learned to accept that.
Ho 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 ho! Is that reverse psychology I hear coming from your lips? Nice try, Trixie.
Darn it!
But instead, I have an even better present! Hello, I'm Penn Gillette, and just my partner Teller.
A moment with Penn and Teller? Oh, thank you, Santa, thank you! Aw. See, that's one of the best things about Christmas. The happy, warm feelings that you always get around this time of year. The fun, the enjoyment, and just the excitement of having a good time can make even the worst of scenarios seem pleasant. Which is why I guess that age-old adage I've always said about fanfics is true. That they're always going to be a fanfic for almost every occasion. Yes. There's a fanfic for Escaflowne about Christmas. Yes, I will do that next week. But right now, I'd like to start out this week with a little fanfic based off of a series that I just now gotten even more into. Yep, we're going back to check out those 4 awesome hundredses. So join us as we here at the Berry Memorial Library and proud to present A Very RWBY Christmas by Average Fiction, which is probably one of the more normal names that we've had on the show. A Very RWBY Christmas by Average Fiction. First chapter, only chapter. Ruby couldn't even attempt to suppress the grin on her face as it stretched from one ear to another. It was one of her favorite times of the year, and this year happened to be even more special to her than usual. And this year, it would be the first time she got to spend Christmas with all new friends she had made during her time at Beacon. The actual holiday itself wasn't for another week, but the young hunters in training had been excluding immense amounts of festive cheer for the better part of the entire month, something which was quite received quite differently from person to person. Yang was all too happy to encourage her little sister's holiday spirit, whereas Weiss, well, Ruby was certain by the time Christmas rolled around the calendar that she figured out a way to get Weiss to embrace the merriment of it all as much as she did. Maybe this would be even what did the trick, Ruby thought, as she stood up and grabbed up the large red sack she had with her. She had spent weeks and weeks doing research to try to determine what the perfect gift would be for everyone. And after all she had thought, she had visited her processes. She felt pretty good about what she had in store for everyone. Everything was, quite literally, in the bag. As she sniggered to herself, as she tied up the knot to hold everything in, slipped into this little red pointy hat on top of her head, with a fluff of white cotton at the tip, and a line hung around it at the opening, and donned a puffy white beard that was held on by a thin wire draped over her ears. Please tell me somebody has fan art of that. The image in my head's too adorbs. Seriously, Nine. Again? How many times do I have to ask you to not leave your clothes on my bed? Weiss exclaimed with irritation, so he only just returned to the dormitory as he shared with the rest of her teammates, discovering for what felt like the 100th time during the brief amount of time she had been out of the room. Her boisterous blonde roommate had gone rummaging through her clothing, and as usual, neglected to put everything back to where it belonged once she found what she was searching for. Hey, you can't prove that's mine. Yana responded matter-of-factly, in an effort to defend herself from such a severe accusation. Although the smirk that curled up on the corners of her lips, even as he was speaking, perhaps undermined said efforts. Her case wasn't done any favors either, when she propped herself on an elbow, and leaned back beside a tough bunk, when she'd been lousy to see Weiss holding up the offending article clothing a crystal. A bright yellow sports bra bearing a small black burning heart symbol on it. That could be anybody's. Yang's increasingly meager defense earned an exasperated grunt from the smaller white-haired heiress, who proceeded to fling the garment across the room, right at the clutches of her much more carefree teammate, who in turn couldn't help but laugh at Weiss's indignation. Oh, come on, Weiss. It's not that big a deal. Are you sure this is what you're really upset about? Are you sure it's not just because... well, let's see. How to put this. Because you might be a little jealous you wouldn't fill this out as well as I do. Yang asked lightheartedly, while now holding up her sports bra to emphasize her point. The flustered expression of the rosy blush on Weiss's pale cheeks being enough to send her back into another fit of laughter. Absolutely not! First of all, the physical proportions of my body are perfectly healthy for a young woman my age. Second of all, my choices in athletic underwear should be none of your concern anyway. She huffed, stammering slightly over her words, and feeling somewhat foolish after a few seconds, while the Yank cackled for letting her teammate so easily get her goat. Blake, you agree with me, don't you? Your bed is right beneath hers. Surely you must have to deal with finding her clothes littering your bed as often as any of us, right? Weiss asked, as he decided to turn her focus somewhere elsewhere in search of an ally, and even what he could admit was a petty squabble. It was the principle of the matter, though, damn it! I think I'm going to take a pass on getting involved, Blake replied from where she sat in the bed, right underneath Yang's with her knees up. A Blake staying all but on her thighs, and golden eyes not leaving us to pieces, as the raven-haired fawns did not have to stop and think for very long to come to the conclusion it best to let these two settle this themselves. Oh, by the way, I believe these belong to you. She had, however, before reaching down to where her feet were resting and grabbing onto a pair of boy shorts that essentially held up with her arm, allowing Yang to grab those as well. Thank you kindly. Yang called back down to Blake as he received that pair of bottoms that gone missing while Weiss had let out another huff of disbelief. And Blake couldn't help but smile softly. She might have felt a little bad about ganging up on Weiss like that, but she couldn't decide how entertaining it would be to tease the occasionally uptight ice cream about. Fine! Go ahead and keep this enabling sort of southerly behavior. Just know the next time I find any of your clothes on my bed, I'm keeping them! Weiss asserted, now that it had become apparent that she would not be receiving any support from Blake on the issue. The two of them could keep on being content living under such untidy conditions as they wished, but she was not going to allow her personal space in the room to become so unkempt. The urge Yang had to make a snappy retort about how none of these clothes would probably fit on Weiss anyway was almost unbearably strong. But just as she was about to open her mouth to prolong her good-natured ribbing, she was abruptly startled in the same manner as both of the other girls in the room by the door being kicked open, and a rather unexpected figure now standing in the doorway. Merry Christmas, Team RWBY! Bellowed their short leader, who now stood there while triumphantly, with a large red sack slung over her shoulder, beaming so brightly that her smile could be seen, even with the long, woolly white beard she was sporting as part of her costume. Although, considering the fact that, other than the beard and hat, she was still wearing her usual attire, it was fair to question just how much of a costume it could truly be called. I come bearing gifts, since you've all been such good girls this year, even you, Weiss. She continued, deepening her voice as best she could to mimic that rather rotund, jolly man's, while ignoring the protests of Hay that an offended Weiss let out. Well, forgive me to being the bearer and one to break the bad news to you, Sam, but Christmas isn't until next week. I think you might have gotten started a bit too early this year. Yang replied, with quite an amused smile herself, upon seeing the vast amount of joy that her younger sister was clearly taking with this, and more than happy to play along. Doesn't seem where exactly Ruby planned on going with it all. Yes, well, you see, it's a lot of work to visit all the boys and girls in Bendon just one night. So sometimes I like to get a head start on things by visiting those at the very top of my list, so they can experience some very early Christmas each year. Yes, that's right. Ruby came over her answer on the spot, but felt quite pleased once she was finished, and had a moment to think about it. Made enough sense to her, at least. You might want to do something with your beard, son, Santa. It's lopsided. Weiss pointed out, even though she couldn't help but grin at her friend and Team Leader's antics. While along with the other girls, as Ruby quickly tried to correct her facial hair, only to lead crooked in the opposite direction. Repeating the action a few more times in an effort to get it just right, before becoming fed up at being outwitted by a fake beard, and simply pulling off her face altogether. Her roommates all shared a giggle at her unfortunate, but irritating plight, as Ruby now stared there smiling sheepishly. I think you guys all knew it was feeling neat, and it was feeling kind of itchy anyway. But that doesn't change the fact that I've hand-selected presents for each of you, and I can't wait another week to see the looks on your faces when I give it to them. The diminutive and tearful substitute Santa exclaimed, while swinging around the sack she had been carrying over her shoulder, dropping it down to the floor in front of her with a light thud that added some weight to the objects within. You really didn't have to go through so much trouble, Ruby. At least not for me. Blake chimed in with a soft smile, watching her friend already opening up her bag of gifts, and rummaging through the unknown contents. She was touched by the sentiment, and hoped that Ruby didn't put any undue stress on herself just trying to find the fondness in her friend's the perfect gift. Just being here and spending time with you guys is more than enough for me. Are you kidding? Giving people gifts on Christmas is like my favorite thing about the whole holiday. And, getting them is also pretty nice too. And building snowmen and making hot chocolate and decorating a tent full of lights and grab the wheel, Ruby, you're drifting off the road! Yang piped in with a smirk at her little sister, who uncharacteristically lost her train of thought by getting caught up in all the wonderful things about the Yuletide season. Ruby responded by briskly sticking her tongue out towards her, though her focus was brought back to the matter currently in hand. Anyway, how about I give you your present then first, Blake? Just give me a second and close your eyes. She proposed as she crossed out so she could reach all the way into the large red velvet pouch, containing... Velvet pouch? Hey, leave my pouch alone. Please, I beg you. Containing all the items intended for her friends. Blake, meanwhile, knew that there would be no arguing with Ruby on this, and was excited to accept whatever was coming to her, as she marked the page in her book, and set it aside, closing her golden eyes, as instructed. In truth, Blake wasn't really sure what she used to be expecting to receive. More than anything else, she just hoped it was something that she would genuinely enjoy and appreciate, since it would make her feel terrible if Ruby had gone through all the time and effort to get the best gifts possible, and for everyone she ended up getting her, something that she might really didn't know what to do with. Just in case, though, she started to mentally prepare herself for the best fake reaction or delighted surprise she could muster, despite poker faces not exactly being her strongest suit. Ta-da! I'll be your ice Blake! She heard Ruby's joyful voice cry out, and saw her two marionettes inhale intensely in anticipation of needing to keep herself from hurting Ruby's feelings. Those fears turned out to be completely unnecessary after all. Ruby, where did you even find this? Blake gasped with surprise after taking a couple of seconds to marvel over what she was being presented with. Taking the large and bulky book from Ruby's and placing it upon her lap. It was leather-bound. The material was rough and worn, a sign of its age, and making the relatively untarnished condition it was in all the more impressive. She ran her fingertips across the lettering of the front cover, embossed it in a glaring gold and spelling out the title of the tome, Maxwell's Definitive Anthology of Fairy Tales and Folklore.
I refuse to believe that's an actual remnant book until I see a color-based name somewhere in the name.
Well, I asked Professor Dr. Ublick if he had any books like this one that were about old stories and stuff like that. He asked exactly why one wants to do like that. Still not sure whether or not I should be insulted by that. But when I told him I was looking for a Christmas present for you, he was happy to give me the one from his collection. I had to stay after class and help him organize all his research papers and stuff, but I figured it was just worth it. Ruby explained with a rather pleased smile at seeing the expression on Blake's face. One of obvious awe as he opened up the classic book seen now held in a procession. The pages felt so smooth to the touch, the unmistakable texture of aged vellum holding up remarkably well, considering that this book must be at least 100 years old. This is, wow, I don't even know what to say. This is an incredible gift, Ruby. Thank you. Thank you so much. Blake managed to put together, while still overcome with emotion and gratitude, not just for the gift, but for having a friend like Ruby who knew her well enough to discern exactly what kind of things she wanted, plus giving up who knows how many hours of her free time assisting Oobleck and cataloging its vast research on Grimm. You better be ready to work fast, Ruby, because I tend to make sure I keep guesses on besides pairs of notes. You don't need to say anything besides that. You're welcome, Blake. I'm glad you really like it. Ruby replied, seeing her book his teammates shared an affectionate smile. This heart-warming moment between friends only being interrupted by clearing of the boat bed sat directly above Blake's. Some of us are still waiting for our gifts, please. Yang interjected with a beaming, impish grin towards her little sis, particularly eager to see what Ruby had stowed away in that sack for her, and discovered the awesomeness of what Blake had just received. You're right, sis. How rude of me. Vice, let me give you your present now. Ruefully cheerfully proclaimed, while flashing an oh-so innocent smile, before returning to her bag full of goodies, causing Wise to put her hand over her mouth, tighter snickering, as he peeked over towards Yang and shot her a teasing wink. The bugs of Blonde's expression had deflated quite comically, but for her part, she supposed she did kind of like having that one coming. Well played, little sis. Oh, Ruby, you really didn't need to get me anything either. Like Blake, I would be quite happy with just the company of you three for the holiday. However, since you went through all the trouble of picking out a present for me, it would be truly rude of me not to accept it. Wise consented, while earning arched eyebrows and sideways glances from both Blake and Yang, apparently found reason to be suspicious of their white-haired comrade's claim, as he truly had no selfish desire for gifts. Her smile wavered momentarily as he felt her scrutinizing eyes behind her. And maybe I also like getting presents too, she finally added, a bit more demurely, after realizing that she wasn't being readily brought. It's okay, Wise. Everyone likes presents. You work kind of hard to shop for it, though. I mean, what do you get for the mega rich, lazy heiress who has everything, right? Ruby chimed in, as he found what she was looking for inside of her large sack, reaching down to grab it while eagerly feeling nervous about what she ultimately ended up deciding on for Weiss. Everything she had come up with at first, she knew that Weiss had already owned. Either that, or she would own a superior version of it. Oh, I'm sure whatever you got from me, I'll enjoy it every bit as much as Blake enjoyed her gift. Weiss responded with a nod towards her team leader, who had decided to play the role of Santa early this year. She couldn't help but feel a pang of gift, either, while standing there beside the makeshift bunk beds that she shared with Ruby. Of course, she was going to be an absolute nightmare to shop for. How could she have not thought of that? It wasn't her fault, of course, but she still felt bad about Ruby having to go to such lengths in order to figure out what to get her, so she wouldn't be left out. Yeah, you should see how hard of a time she has shopping for winter. The girl, not the season. By which I mean Weiss's older sister, Winter. Oh, God, seasons are confusing. I just... Okay, well, close your eyes then, and let's find out. Ruby replied with enthusiasm, and Weiss did as she was told, studying her startlingly bright blue eyes, and bouncing over so slightly up and down on the balls of her feet with keen anticipation. She held out her hands in front of her, with palms facing upward as well, so she could be more easily receive her gift. Meanwhile, Ruby was quite thankful that Weiss had her eyes closed, I couldn't see yet that it was the younger girl was gripping onto the edges of as he removed it from the sack. Not because he procrastinated so long actually wrapping presents that ended up with no time to do so, leading to asking her older friend simply to close her eyes, instead to preserve the suspense and surprise of it all. Though, that was not a significant part of it. No. Given how far their friendship had progressed since the fateful day they met at Beacon, Ruby still needed to prove herself to Weiss. Was it unnecessary at this point? Yeah, probably. But even when it came to something like picking out a good Christmas present, Ruby was determined to show her frosty friend that she was up to the task. And Merry Christmas, Weiss! Ruby exclaimed as she watched her to her teammate and placed her gift directly into her waiting hands. Then proceeded to quickly bring her own hands behind her back, cross her fingers while Weiss opened her eyes and laid them upon the object he was now holding. Almost at once, Weiss knew it was perfect. In the grass, she now possessed something so simple, so far less monetary worth than many of the things had been bestowed upon her during Christmases past, or even just the Blake had been given. It was without doubt something that Weiss would treasure stiffly, something you see now she realized she didn't have. Ruby, I think this might be one of the best Christmas presents anyone's ever gotten me. Thank you, she said with sincerity and a warm smile. I was quite touched by what Ruby had chosen for her, as she looked up to meet her dear friends in the eyes, before returning her gaze to now what she held with such fondness. It was a photograph that had been taken of the four of them during the early part of the month, when the first snowfall of the season hit the city of Vale, and it was set inside a thick frame of dark wood, featuring intricate carved designs all along the edges, most likely by Hang. Phew! Thank goodness you like it, Ruby replied after letting out a huge sigh of relief, her slender shoulders now feeling a lot lighter, with a heavy burden having been removed from them. I got a good deal on the frame from a craft shop in town, and you can thank John again for taking the picture in the first place. She added, as it was indeed their kind-hearted, yet occasionally inept friend and classmate who did them the honor of photographing the moment. For a moment, no. Weiss was too wrapped up in appreciating the gifts she just received as she clutched at her small porcelain hands. To most people, a photograph with their friends would be simply that, a photograph. To the young Miss Snee, however, it was something much more. Her whole life felt like she had something she truly never felt anywhere, or lived up to the people's expectations of what they wanted her to be. Most pertinently from her father, with whom her relationship had become, no pun intended, rather icy. But ever since enrolling at Beacon, finally like some of that was starting to change. Weiss finally felt like she belonged somewhere, surrounded by people who not only truly cared for her, but accepted for her who she was, regardless of whatever flaws she may have. Her teammates were her friends, and her friends, they felt more like a family to her than her father ever was. I'll make sure to do that. Thank you again, Ruby. This really is a wonderful gift. I should thank all of you, really. It's because of you guys that my time spent at Beacon has been so rewarding. You're the best friends I've ever had. And truly, I mean that. Weiss confessed to her several gal pals as she placed the framed picture prominently on the dresser beside her bed. Looking over towards the opposite pair of bunk beds, she earned a couple of earnest smiles from Yang and Blake, who were starting to turn her attention back to Ruby. Her speed was no match, however, and before she could react, Team Leader beat her to the punch. Aw, Weiss! Stop it before you make me cry! You're our best friend, too. Exclaimed the pint-sized, black and red-haired Santa impersonator, who could no longer contain herself. Facing over to her white-haired companion and flinging her arms around her with enough force to knock Weiss off balance, nearly toppled them both over. Fortunately, the older girl managed to steady herself, and after doing so, reached out to tug upon Ruby's ear to elicit a yelp from her with surprised discomfort. This does not give you permission to hang yourself all over me whenever you please, Weiss protested as she found herself forced to remind Ruby about personal boundaries and certain limitations as she preserved to have intimate physical contact. Okay, understood, Ruby grunted before letting out a very relieved sigh as Weiss released her grip on the younger seer's earlobe. As he looked back up through, the soft smile curled upon Weiss's lips was unmistakable. Ruby gleefully responded with her own bright and toothy grin. Are you done ignoring your big sister now, or are you going to make your one and only flesh and blood sibling Wait even longer before you give her present to her. Yang once more piped in, with a playful attempt to guilt her younger sister for hanging out early Christmas treats to both Blake and Weiss before her, though she'd be lying that she wasn't enormously proud of Ruby for coming up with such meaningful gifts for her two classmates.
Oh, come on. I was saving the best for last. And maybe it was also a teeny tiny bit of fun to make you wait. But now it's your turn. So get down here and close your eyes.
Ruby replied as he went back to rummaging through her sack, while Yang swung her long legs around and hopped down over the edge of the upper bunk bed that gracefully landed on her feet, glancing from side to side at both of her teammates, who were still admiring their gifts. She couldn't help but feel giddy with anticipation to see what Ruby had gotten her. Hopefully, whatever it is, it isn't something fragile. It's not exactly your best known for having the most gentle touch, Blake remarked at the blonde's expense, teasing her over its occasional tendency to let her notorious exuberance get the better of her at times.
As long as she didn't get her any clothes, otherwise I have the sinking suspicion that sooner or later I'll have to hold it for ransom at the fighting end on my bed.
Weiss joined in, before Yang could even respond to Blake's jab, shooting the messy teenager a stern look as it cleared that the icy heiress was only half joking. Unfazed, Yang countered it by sticking her tongue out towards the Princess of Dust, which, in return, uttered an exaggerated eye roll and a huff of annoyance, while Blake quietly chuckled at the two.
So this will be a bad time to extend saying it's kind of clothing and kind of fragile?
Ruby asked with a sheepish grin and shrug as she stood back up with a small, long wooden box held in her hands in front of her, looking like the kind of thing you keep a piece of jewelry or a watch in. Ruby, I hope you didn't get me something expensive or anything like that. I don't want you blowing all your money on just a Christmas present from me. Yang stared back to her younger sister, upon taking notice of the box itself. In the back of her head, feeling somewhat guilty with the assumption that Ruby had gone out and bought something more costly for her side of her.
Nope. Why don't you just take it for yourself and see what it is?
Ruby proposed, while sporting a glowing smile, extending her arms out towards her big sis so the blonde brawler could accept the wooden box, regarded with some intrigue, before finally lifting out the lid and discovering what was hidden within. Her lilac-covered eyes widened when she saw the necklace nestled in the velvet-lined interior of the case, particularly set upon the dark red gemstone that served as the centerpiece of the accessory the thin silver chain was hanging from.
Ruby! I thought you said that. I did. And I wasn't lying either. It didn't cost me anything.
Ruby confirmed while cutting off Yang's protests over the seemingly high value of the piece of jewelry that had just been gifted to her, prompting Yang to look back up toward her in confusion. Ruby could barely contain her excitement now. This was going to be the best part.
It didn't cost me anything because it's, well, kind of an heirloom now, I guess. I talked to Dad. I asked him for advice on what I should get you this year. Then he said something about how he figured you're finally old enough to have something, which I didn't really understand when he got up and left. But when he came back with this, Yang, this necklace used to be your mom's.
For one of the very rare times in her young life, Yang was left speechless. She hadn't the faintest clue of how she was supposed to react or process any of what Ruby had just informed her of. First was the shock of simply learning what she held in her possession. Now it was the very same necklace that her mother used to wear. Then there was the anger at the thought of her father keeping something like this a secret, when he knew better than anyone just how desperate she was to get closer to her mother in any way possible. That feeling subsided almost as quickly as it had been birthed, however, and replaced by a warm-felt heart that she carefully put each of her slender fingers into the box, lifting the necklace out by the dangling jewel, and admired intimately.
This, it's everything I've ever wanted. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you so much.
Yang finally said back to her as emotion threatened to overwhelm her by judging the water that had started to take up residence in her eyes, when she reflexively attempted to fend off by wiping away with the back of her free hand.
Oh, you don't have to thank me. Really, you should thank Dad, since he's the one who gave it to me to you. I'm nothing but a humble messenger.
The sort of side wielder replied with modesty, while proceeding to give a somewhat exaggerated bow at the waist. Messenger or not, I don't think any of us can ask for a better Santa Claus this season. Blake smiled towards Ruby with a more sincere appreciation for everything she had done for the rest of her team. She couldn't deny that she was getting a tiny bit dusty-eyed herself, just from witnessing the emotion being expressed and excluded by Yang at the moment. Oh, I bet, Team Nita. I can admit I've had my fair share of doubts in the beginning, and though it may pain me to say such a thing, I suppose it turns out that I unfairly misjudged you, Ruby Rose. I'm proud to call you my Team Nita, and my friend. Weiss added with a smile of her own, forgetting her typical business-like demeanor to join in on singing Ruby's praises for her efforts this Christmas.
Oh, Weiss, that's like the nicest thing you've ever said about me.
Ruby exclaimed, bouncing up and down the balls of her tiny feet, like a small child on a sugar rush. So, like Ruby most of the time. Mrs. Eyes, meanwhile, was growing in size a bit, so she started realizing what she had done, and was likely about to have some next.
Come here, you!
Ruby followed up before lunging to the girl, who was practically the embodiment of the current weather outside, forcing Weiss to essentially throw up her arms to try to shield herself from the impending collision. To her surprise, though, it never came. When she peeked her head back up, she found out why. Oh, no, you don't. Nobody gets to hug my super amazing and awesome little sister before I do right now. Yang cried out, with the biggest, brightest smile imaginable spread across her face from one ear to another, while embracing Ruby tightly in her arms and up against her well-proportioned figure. Grunts and bursting from the trapped girl's lips as he appreciated Yang's affection, but was finding it a struggle to breathe thanks to her innate strength. After a few seconds of flailing miserably in the hopes of escaping, Ruby was finally granted her release by Yang, immediately gasping for oxygen and casting a lighthearted smirk from Weiss that seemed to say, "Now you know how it feels."
I'm just really glad that you don't like your present so much. Now, if you excuse me,
Ruby said before walking over to the place on the floor where her discarded beer lay, reaching down to pick it up and to lift the string around her ears to don the mask of white fluff once more.
there's still more Christmas cheer that needs to be spread.
She finished her deeper disguised voice as she grabbed to the top of her large sack and slung it over her shoulder, yet still clearly remaining within. Heading for the door, Ruby paused just before exiting, looked back over her shoulder at teammates to tell them in her normal voice,
Oh, if you guys need me, I'll be across the hall.
At that, she took her leave and shut the door behind her, leaving Weiss, Blake, and Yang all with smiles on their faces and warmth in their hearts. For a few brief moments, nobody said anything as they all enjoyed serene, sort of content silence together. Then he heard the muffled sound of a door opening on the other side of the wall.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, Team Juniper! Santa! You came early! That's right, Nora. Now gather around and come get your gifts.
Nora, I don't really think.
Yay, Santa!
Pura, do you want...
Oh, calm down, Ren. Look at how happy she is.
Yeah! I mean, come on! How often is it that Santa comes to visit? I mean, come on, guys! We really need to talk to him! Oh, this is so great to go! So great, so great, so great, so great! Seriously. It's like taking care of two children on this team. The end. Remember, folks, don't expect any reviews. I don't review Christmas fics. It's tough to do a bad one. Okay. Maybe if your name was Miken. That was my only Miken riff this Christmas.